I don't even know where to begin with this one. As you know, the Japanese are famous for creating all types of toys. In fact, one of their biggest companies is responsible for the influx of some of the most popular video games. However, they're also responsible for the influx of what has to be the most demonic thing I have ever seen, and that is sex bots. Now, I am going to place a warning up here so that those of you who need to be warned can be forewarned that this is probably not for those of you who are battling problems with lust. So I'm going to warn you now that this deals with sexual proclivity, and if this is an issue that you're battling, then you don't want to watch this. But for those of you who are trying to be knowledgeable about this kind of stuff, and especially if you want to warn others about this type of thing, then indeed, please continue to watch. But this, I can tell you from a spiritual point of view, this has got to be the most demonic thing that I have ever encountered.
Okay, so wow, fam, what I'm gonna show you right now is the absolute most evil demonic thing that I've ever seen. I occasionally go to other people's channels and I watch their videos. I don't subscribe to too many things, but I watch videos to gain knowledge about things that maybe I don't know, and I learn. So if I see that it's something that I think is worthy of sharing, then I may do my own take on it. But a lot of times I don't, because it's probably something that I may have had some knowledge about, or I may have done a similar video and I just appreciate looking at it from a different point of view. However, this, what I'm getting ready to show you, is something that I had no idea about. And it saddened me. It was the story of these sex bots. Now, as I stated in the intro, Japan is known for making toys. However, in this case, this is an adult toy. It is a doll. And these are not new. They've actually had sex dolls for a very long time. But this particular one is designed and made for the purpose of actually simulating sex from the doll's point of view. So it's not just you using the doll, but it's the doll also doing things to you. And I'll just leave it at that. But this has become so popular now that they're even selling these things on regular sites. I saw an ad for one of these things on a regular retail site that sold kids' toys and clothing and all sorts of other stuff. And they had this. And these things are anatomically correct. And they're made to look like a woman. And I can only imagine the male ones probably coming soon. And, wow, people, what have we come to? I mean, the enemy has really came to a new low. And this is wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. So I want to go into what the word says about it because I need to get away from the visual imagery just for a second. For this cause God gave them up to vile affections, and for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman burned in their lusts one toward another. So although this addresses homosexuality, it indeed refers to the use of unnatural and vile affections. When you use a robot to achieve sexual gratification, that, or any type of toy, that is an unnatural affection, and it's a vile one, because there were reasons that sex was created, and these were not the reasons. It's a lot of people get it confused. They're like, oh, I have to release, that's why sex was created. Not necessarily so. You can go without releasing and you will still be perfectly healthy. I remember when I was young, guys used, and not even young, I heard an old man say this one day too, that, oh, I'm going to get blue balls if I don't release. That's a lie from the pit of hell. You do not need these unnatural things to live and to have a complete life. This is not what the Creator intended sex for. The major and number one reason sex was created was for procreation. And you can't do that with a robot. The other reason that sex was created was to bond a man and his wife. So this is why when you have sex outside of marriage, you have things like soul ties formed, because you are now bonding with someone who may or may not marry you, and as a result, when the relationship is broken, one person feels that they can't let go, because that bond has been created through the sex act. And this is why some people, they go crazy. I see it all the time where someone is insane over the other person because of the sex. And this is why the Lord clearly speaks against sex outside of marriage, because it is a bond, and it creates a bond, or like I said, a tie, a soul tie. And if you're soul tied to someone who does not want you, it's a horrible thing, because you go through your day in and your day out and you're obsessed with this person because you broke one of God's natural laws, which is to not commit adultery or to fornicate. And I speak from knowledge. You guys have heard me in my past videos. When I was young, I was the town whore. I didn't know any better because I grew up with this type of thing. I guess from being molested as a child, I began to equate sex with love. And this happened in a foster home with people that I knew were not my family. So I thought by this man abusing me, that made, in my child's mind, it interpreted as, oh, well, someone loves me, someone wants me, someone finds me desirable. And as a result, I kept repeating the behavior until I learned better. So this ties into this unnatural act with this machine. You are now eliminating any chance of finding a real relationship because your immediate need is being met. So the gratification that you get from this thing eliminates your need for a woman in your life, because this thing is providing what you think and what you in your mind are led to believe is all that you need, when in fact it is not all you need. You need Jesus, you need Christ, you need Yeshua. So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. Fam. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. I can only imagine, that there are people who are in marriages who have these things locked away somewhere, and when they're not being sexually fulfilled in their marriages, they come and pull this thing out of the closet and they use it as a replacement for the unattentive wife. That is adultery. Even though it's not a human, you are substituting something. And with the adultery, there's a verse, and I'm sorry that I didn't pull it up, but it says that if you even look at someone with lust, you have committed adultery in your mind. So by looking at this sex bot in a lustful way and having it, tuned in to do your will, you are committing adultery in the worst kind of way, because it's not even it's a inanimate object that you are using to replace the wife. And so you have thus defiled the marital bed with this thing. Not to mention, I don't know if the thing is battery operated or if you plug it in, but I would think that there might be some implications involved with using a plug-in sex toy. God forbid the thing malfunctions and the mouth feature locks on your male appendage, and then game over. Oh, God, I just can't. But for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and the unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath shewed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. And that comes from Romans 1, 18 through 20. So essentially what it is saying is that, we are so attracted to the unknown and to these invisible things of the world that, God sees us. Even if you're in your room in the dark and you think no one sees you, God sees you. And these things that you are doing are ungodly. They're unrighteous. There's only truth held in righteousness, not some of these you people who are doing these ungodly things. You think that you have a type of truth in your unrighteousness. You don't, because truth cannot be found in unrighteousness. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan not tempt you not for your incontinency. So I interpret this verse, and it's from 1 Corinthians 7, verses 3 to 5. I interpret this as, yes, we are beholden to our husband. As a wife, we should give due benevolence to the husband, and likewise. However, there may be a time when we do not do this. I would imagine during times when it's not sanitary, and also times when you may want to be fasting and praying, and so you want to abstain from sex. But no one should feel that just because you are abstaining, especially if it's for a holy purpose, that it's necessary to gain this gratification from another source. That is against the will of God. Family, I don't want to expound too much on this video, but I will say, and I will end here with this and then my prayer. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty, only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. Galatians 5, 1 and 13. Brethren and sisters, please believe that we are not at liberty to use the introduction of these demonic things for the gratification of our flesh. Our bodies belong to God, and this is also why it says in Corinthians to not fornicate, because our bodies are temple. They're holy temples where dwell the Holy Spirit. And by defiling this temple, we introduce things that are unclean into our spirit. And that is the major argument for not fornicating, because when you lie down with something, whether it's a sex bot or an actual another person, whatever spirit dwells in that thing. And I know you're saying, oh, but the bot doesn't have a spirit. No, it doesn't. But it is created of a spirit. So whoever created this thing with the evil intent, that is what you are, things, inanimate things carry spirits. I'm African, and I can tell you that there are certain masks that I will not have in my home. And even though it's an inanimate object, it carries with it a spirit. There are people who make the mask who are wicked, who practice all kinds of wickedness. And therefore, the spirit of that person is now attached to the object. And this is why I told you in an earlier video about some people that I knew that were having all types of, they had went on a trip to Haiti and they returned, and they had brought back some artifacts, and all of a sudden their household turned to hell. There was a lot of arguing. There was, it came almost to blows on a few occasions. The kids were acting out, and they just couldn't understand it, because prior to the trip, everything it was a loving and very Christian household. And so I asked this friend, I said, what did you bring back with you? Did you bring anything back with you? And there was this little doll that was an effigy of some type of man. And the thing looked evil, but they thought it was cute. And I said, oh no, you've got to get rid of it. You've got to get it out of your house. And I said, this probably was made by some type of witch doctor or someone practicing in the dark arts. And it has brought this spirit of contention into your house. And so the sister called me a day later. She says, oh, we tried to burn it and it won't burn. And I said, no, you've got to get it out of the house. So I'm saying to you, those of you who have these sex bots or who are tempted to get them, don't. Because you open doors. They're doorways to evil. And you don't want to open these doorways, because once you do, they're very hard to close. And I speak from experience, because every single thing I'm telling you, I have lived through, been through, and done that. So if I'm speaking to you from the perspective of a testimony, please believe. You don't want to open doors to entities, because like it says in the word, some of these you've got to fast and pray out. And if you're not strong, you'll never get them out. Because some of you can't even fast for breakfast. And then you've got some of you who just refuse to pray. I've had people ask me, well, how do I pray? You open your mouth and you say the words, and you talk to God just like you're talking to someone else. He will lead you. He hears you. He hears you when you're not praying. He hears all that other nasty stuff that you're saying. Trust me. You don't want to introduce these wicked things into your household. I'm going to end with prayer. Lord, whew. This one has been difficult, because I had a lot of doubt, Lord, as to whether or not to present this. But then I realized that just like I flip through channels and look for things and look for uplifting things to view and to read and so forth, others too are surfing the internet. And so it's inevitable that the enemy is going to put things out there to draw people unto him and away from you. And not all are strong, Lord. Some are weak. Some are battling the flesh, Lord. So they need to know. They need to see this video and know what you have to say about these things and why they are not good. So many people have delusions as to why we have the feelings that we have in the physical areas that we have them, and what we're supposed to do in that regard, Lord, but they have the wrong idea, and so they're giving in to carnality and to lustfulness and not preserving themselves and keeping themselves pure and holy, because the enemy has lied and told them that this is what you must do. You have to have a release, and they don't realize that for that temporary moment of release, they have opened many doorways that they will regret. They will regret, Lord. Help them to see that these things, these carnal things, are of the enemy. They're not of you. I pray for the youth who are just inundated with all types of sexual imagery and all sorts of blasphemous ideas and suggestions via the medias and via just walking out in life and seeing all of this visual stuff that leads them to lose control of their lower natures, Lord. Help them to regain that control and to not feed into these things, to learn to turn away from something that causes them to want to sin and to want to act out on these behaviors, Lord. I pray especially for the children who are in households where people who have lost control of their lustful natures are now preying on these innocent children, and they have lost their minds, these people, because they have no discernment between a child's body and a woman's body, and they do all types of wickedness, Lord. Help them to get away from the child, separate them from the children that they're harming, and get them somewhere where they can get help, Lord. Or sometimes they need to be locked up, Lord, and kept away from everybody until that demon spirit comes out, if it ever comes out. Lord, I'm so tired. I thank you. I thank you for the subscribers. I thank you for the messages, Lord. And I thank you for my strength. In the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.